Hey guys, and welcome to yet another video. If you are new here, hello and welcome. I am Kalea from Craft Crazy, and today I'll be showing you guys how to make this super adorable and professional looking teardrop loop for your alpha patterns. So before we get started here, I would just like to let you know that this was originally not my idea. It was this person's idea, Izodua Omorui. Sorry if I did not pronounce it correctly. But yeah, they did come up with this idea for this tutorial. So yeah, I just want to give them the credit for it, and I hope you guys enjoy. So I'm going to be starting this pattern with my teardrop loop for alphas, and I'm going to be using white embroidery floss for the base of the alpha. And so I just cut 7 strings since there are 14 strings on the pattern for the base, and I doubled them over so I have the 14 strings. And since you might be seeing 15 strings instead, I'm just going to be adding another string for the working strand that I will be using to form the alpha. So after you have cut your strings for the alpha that has to have an odd number of strings for the entire alpha, then you can get started on the loop for alphas. So to clamp down your strings before you make the loop, you're just going to mark the point where you would like your loop to start, and you're just going to take the other half and just throw it one way and just like clamp it down with your finger, and then get a piece of tape and then tape it down, or your clipboard, or whichever you're going to use for your bracelet. Just clamp it down where you want it to start. So I'm just going to be cutting a piece of tape and clamping it down right here at the center of my bracelet. Okay, so now that I have all of my strings clamped down to my workspace, it is time to start the loop for your alpha. So again, you should be doing a alpha pattern that has at least an odd number of bass strings, but I'm not including this string I've separated from the rest because it is shorter, and I'm just going to be using it for the loop. But if you would prefer to use one of your bass strands to create the loop, to not over the rest of them, I'd very much recommend you to cut that one a little bit longer, like maybe a couple of inches longer than the rest of the strings, just so you have enough and your length of strings is even. So that's just a little warning before we get started. So ignore this first knot. I just did that so I could secure the extra string I have added to the bundle of bass strings for the alpha pattern. I'm just going to be using this one to knot over the rest. So yeah, that's just what I've been doing. That's why I have a little knot right here after I clamp down my strings. So what you're just going to be doing for the loop for your alpha, you're just going to be taking the string to the right of the rest of them, and this string should be either an extra string to knot over, you're not going to actually include it in the actual bracelet, or it could be a bass string that's longer than the rest of them, just so the length of all your strings is even. But yeah, I'm just going to be doing an extra string for mine, and I'm going to be doing a backward forward knot onto the rest of these strings for my alpha pattern. Alright, so now that I have the first half of my teardrop loop for my alpha, you're just going to be turning around your strings so you are on the other side if you have only created half of your teardrop loop. So if you choose to do half of your alpha on one side because you're starting in the middle, and half of the other part of your teardrop loop on the other side, since yeah, I have started in the middle, you're just going to be switching your strings around. So that's what I just did. Now my half of my loop is under the tape where all the strings that I'm not using go at the moment. And yeah, so you're just going to be taking the other string that is still longer than the other strings, or just the extra string, and you're just going to be doing the exact opposite, so just 4 backward knots on the strings to the right of it. and this will be counting as the other half of your teardrop loop if you decide to do that. I have just finished my loop and I have taken the tape off of it, so now you can see that I have finished it and that I have shaped it into like the loop kind of shape. So yeah, just do that, shape it into like the loop shape, just, you know, shaping it into the loop, and then just tape it back down or clamp it back down to your workspace, and then yeah, just it's time to start the actual start for your alpha pattern. So if you're wondering about the extra string I have cut, I'm just going to be knotting over a couple of times once we start our start for the alpha pattern that you're going to be creating. I'm just going to be doing a couple of knots onto it and then snipping it off so it doesn't start to destroy my teardrop loop right here. So if you're wondering, that's just what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing that off camera if you're also wondering about that. So yeah, it's time to get started with the actual start for our alpha patterns. So to start your alpha pattern, you're just going to be separating each of your bundles of string into fourths. So each of the bundles of string on either side of the loop are going to be separated in half, so you're just going to have fourths on each of these. And so I'm just going to even out the strings, and then I will be showing you guys how to actually do the knots for the start of the alpha pattern. So for the triangle ends for your loop, you're just going to be taking the string on the very inside of the bundle of strings on the inside fourth, so on the left side. You're just going to be doing a forward backward knot onto the strings to the right of it. And then you're just going to be doing the exact same thing with the next string in the bundle, and you're going to be doing a forward backward knot, so the exact same thing as you did with the previous strand, and also excluding the one that you have just knotted with. And then after that, since I just completed my bundle, my fourth of the number of strings I'm doing, now you're just going to be moving on to the next side. So just by doing the exact same thing except backward forward knots with the string on the very inside of the bundle. After you've completed that on the first side, just switch to the other side and do the exact same thing on that side. So just since I have split my other strings up, so they're in fourths, you're just going to be knotting forward backward knots with your very inside strand on the right side. So half of a forward and then the other half a backward. And now that that string is knotted onto the rest, you're just going to exclude that completely from the rest and then continue the exact same thing with the next strand on the very inside and do a forward backward knot. And then just continue to do that with the rest of the strings until you only have one left and you cannot knot all the other ones anymore since they're all knotted onto each other. You're going to be taking one strand on each of the middle strands, the two middle strands. You're just going to be doing forward knots all the way until it transfers to the very center of both bundles. And then you're going to take the other middle strand of the half bundle and you're just going to be doing all backward knots till it transfers to the very outside of the start. That should be done. You're just going to be taking the outer two strands on each side of this bundle and you're just going to be setting them off to the side because we're not going to be using them for a while. And then after you complete that, you're just going to be doing the exact same thing. So just excluding the two outside strings of the bundle and just doing a forward knot and then a bunch of forward knots until you reach the string before the outer two strings of both sides, and then doing the exact same thing with backward knots until you have finished filling in the entire of your triangle for your triangle start after your loop. So yeah, I have just finished my triangle and filling it in with the knots, and I think it looks nice. And then just do the exact same thing with the other triangle, and I'll be doing that off camera. If you guys need any help or if you're confused, just feel free to pause the video or rewind and look back at the instructions for this triangle, because we're doing the exact same thing on the second triangle. There we go. So I've just completed both of the triangles, which is almost finished with the start for your alpha. So now you're just going to be taking the innermost two strings between the two bundles and just tying them together super tightly, and make sure to be very careful while doing this. Just finished the loop for my alpha pattern, and it looks kind of wonky right now, but once you start to stretch it out and even all of it out, it'll start to look a lot better. So yeah, you guys can start your alpha pattern from here, and that's just all you have to do for your loop. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and remember, for every 100 subscribers I get, I launch a special video, like maybe a live stream or something you guys pick out, like a challenge or just something fun. And then if I ever reach 1,000 subscribers, then I will be doing a face reveal for the first 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, I hope you guys take that into account and consider subscribing and liking and sharing. So thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!